Story time about when I messed up by inviting a girl over. This mess up started on Saturday and it's Thursday now. I matched with a girl on Facebook dating and she was very cute. I did notice that she only smiled with her top row of teeth in pictures and figured that her bottom teeth might be effed up, but didn't think much of it. She had trad wife energy and I was into it. We ended up meeting on Sunday after some pretty clean chatting. Turns out that she lives exactly 8 minutes from me, so I offered to pick her up for our first date. I learned a lot about her in a very short time. I won't reveal all the details, but she had battled a long time with eating disorders, thus her teeth being a bit janky. From what I saw, they weren't that bad. This is all a red herring. Nothing about this has to do anything with teeth. I wanted to mention it because I was so focused on that I didn't pick up on the other red flags. I also found out that she doesn't drink all that often and only at meal times if it's appropriate. How nice. She also lives with her parents. Why? She has a surgery coming up and it's involving a lot of physical therapy. I pieced together that it's probably due to her aforementioned eating disorders and a complication thereof. Otherwise, great date. Fast forward to last night and this morning. I invite her over for dinner. The plan was her dad would drop her off because she doesn't have a car due to a recent wreck and I would drive her home later that evening. She also tells me that she's a felon like 1 hour before we hang out. Okay. Don't worry, it's just 3 DUIs and it's over with. Thanks for telling me? No, really, I should have paid attention to this red flag. She comes over and after pleasantries, I start to cook shrimp curry soup. She asks for a drink. I show her my drink cabinet and picks out the most expensive tequila that I have. That's fine. Biggest F up, I presume that everyone is good at self-regulation of their drinking. It's just what I believe. We know if we're getting toasted or not and it's intentional. I join and catch up with the 2 shots. I get a seltzer for myself and she grabs a cocktail. And another one. 4 drinks in 40 minutes for this 110-pound person. I assume she's good at holding her liquor. After dinner, we're cuddling where she has her head on my lap. Suddenly, to my surprise, she takes her pants off and says, "Let's go to bed. A woman has needs." Let me mention nothing sexual happened here. I was barely registering as tipsy and she was beyond drunk. I set her in the bed and she immediately passes out. No worries, I'll put a trash can near her and I'll go watch some TV and play games and check on her. The horror story starts here. I check on her and I realize that my bed is dark. I touch it. It's pee. Just fucking great. I attempt to wake her and alert her that she soiled herself and my bed. She wakes up and asks me why I'm waking her up and then tries to flirt with me. I then notice she's soiling herself. Again. Actively, while trying to seduce me. I somehow managed to get her to the bathroom and sit her on the toilet and have her drink water to sober up. This was a bad plan later. She refuses to use the toilet and I ease her down on the ground on my fuzzy bath mat. I drape her with a towel and place another beneath her, just in case. I then spend the next 5 hours until 4:30 in the morning washing my clothes, her clothes, my bedding, and my comforter. At some point, I sit on the couch where she was earlier and realized that she had soiled my couch. That's why she was so urgent to go to the bed. I check on her to make sure that she's okay and I end up changing her towel twice. I finally decide to go to sleep around 5 and I have work at 9, despite the ice storm. I set an alarm at 8 so I can drive her the hell home and forget it all happened. At 6:30, she wakes up, confused and naked, to which I provide her some of my gym clothes that I don't really care about. Part 2, I messed up by inviting a girl over. I go back to the couch and she's embarrassed and hungry. Fine, go eat leftovers, but let me sleep. She clings around in the kitchen a while. She apparently ate all the shrimp in the soup. Great. She decides to cuddle with me on the couch and I had no energy to push her away. She attempts to kiss me, but I rebuke it, and then realize that she has gin on her breath. I spring up and go to the kitchen and realize that she drank another 4 ounces of gin at 7:30 in the morning. I run back to the bed and she's catatonic again. I start to freak out and see her phone. She told me her birthday on the first date and used that to open her phone. Voila. Turns out she has like 9 missed calls from her parents, so I call them from her phone. I explain every single detail of the happenings of the night and they're mortified. I tell them that I have work and they need to come get her now. An hour later, her father shows up, which is ridiculous because they live so close, but I was just happy that he was there. I had gathered her laundry, belongings, etc. to give it to her dad. Her dad is not happy. He yells at her and I tell him, "Hey, sorry, my house, please, no yelling." He apologizes and agrees, surprised that it actually worked, but I guess he was embarrassed about everything. Dad takes his stuff and comes back and says, "She was almost 1 week sober, and this happens. Not your fault, son." The DUI thing makes sense now. She cannot stand up by herself, so he tries to scoop her up from the couch, but she's completely dead weight and wakes up, yelling that she hates her dad, and pees on him, and my couch. Again, we both end up dragging her to the car and my neighbors are watching, mortified of what seems like a kidnapping happening. Her mom just texted me to apologize a few hours later and that she would get me my clothes back. I'm really just upset that I'm sitting here eating my shrimpless soup.
Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to go and ask to be adopted by the couple she's obsessed with? So my girlfriend Katie made a new friend a few months ago, Mary. Katie talked about her a lot. Mary said this, Mary did that. Mary started teaching her something. I thought it was a bit weird how much Katie seemed to look up to Mary, but I didn't think much of it until Mary's husband Joe entered the picture. From then on, Katie started talking about their relationship all the time. How they do things, how they divide the chores, how respectful they are to one another. Basically, they're the best couple ever. By the way, I have met them and they're honestly nothing special, maybe a little bit on the boring side. Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to go and ask to be adopted by the couple she's so obsessed with? I've met this couple and to me, they're honestly nothing special, maybe even a bit on the boring side. Well, yesterday, Katie was going on and on about them again, saying things like Mary and Joe are true soulmates and theirs is the healthiest relationship she's ever seen. I had a really long day at work, so I told her I don't want to hear about them. I don't care about this random creepy crush, but if she likes them so much, she should go and ask them to adopt her. Or ask if she can be their third. Then she gave me the cold shoulder and went to her apartment instead of mine.
I'm going to have an abortion because my fiance cheated. I'm 29 female and he's 31 male. We've been together for 7 years and engaged for 9 months. To keep a long story short, I found out my fiance was cheating on me when I was 10 weeks pregnant. He has slept with multiple women for what looks like the last 2 years. I never wanted children, but he really wanted to be a father. After the initial shock of finding out he was cheating, I had to think rationally. Could I really let myself be tied down to this man for the rest of my life? Could I trust him to raise a child with me? The answer was no. I gave him the best years of my life, and I wasn't going to give him any more. I knew I'd resent the child. I just wanted to move on and never see him again. I told him I was going to get an abortion. He begged me not to. He apologized and said we could work it out and all he wants is to raise a family together. He swore I'd be a great mom and he'd be a great dad. He said if we didn't work out, he'd be there 100% for the child and that he could be the one with full custody and I could have visitation. I told him that my mind was made up and that he should have thought of that before cheating. He threatened to sue me if I went through with it. My parents weren't on board either. They say they're pro-choice, but they think that me getting an abortion is purely for revenge and not for the right reasons. I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I can't have a child with this man. Not after this. I can't do it. I can't even carry the baby and give him full custody. Why should I put my body through this after what he did? Why would I give him what he wants after he's ruined me? It's scheduled for next Friday. There's no doubt in my mind that this is what I should do. No one but my sisters and close friends seem to agree with me. My male friends are against him. My ex-fiance is still begging me not to, and I know he's speaking to a lawyer. The next week isn't going to be easy, but I'll do what I have to. I gave this man the best years of my life. I gave him everything I had and everything I could. For 7 years, I've loved him unconditionally, but I cannot have this child with him.
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend's wedding when I was told I needed to cover up my psoriasis? Stories like this, y'all, always bother me. I, 24 female, have psoriasis and it's all over my body and presents like vitiligo in a way. I have medicated cream that helps with the itchiness and also helps with the dryness. It's all over my body with it stopping right on my neck and I do have a few spots on the sides of my face near my ears. I've always been pretty embarrassed as I can't cake on enough makeup to truly cover it. My doctor also recommended not to smother the areas with makeup as it tends to make it worse and itchier. Anyways, my friend's wedding was on Saturday and of course I was invited. Am I the asshole for leaving my friend's wedding when I was told I needed to cover my psoriasis? I bought a dress that would cover my body fairly well as I didn't want to draw attention to myself. The entire week leading up to the wedding, I was continuously testing concealers on the remaining spots that were exposed. This caused me to itch, which caused me to scratch and then to bleed, and my boyfriend said I just shouldn't cover it. I agreed and the wedding ceremony was great, but as we were leaving to go to cocktail hour, she asked if I was going home to cover my psoriasis. I explained why I couldn't and she said she didn't care and she didn't want her guests asking me questions or feeling queasy during dinner. My boyfriend said if that's the case, we're leaving.
Am I wrong for telling my parents that they ruined our New Year's celebration after they kicked my husband out over a joke? I've been married to my second husband, Mike, for 4 years now. He's a jokester and loves to crack jokes all the time. He especially likes to joke with my brother, Ethan, and his wife. Ethan used to be okay with it until he started complaining about Mike taking it too far with his jokes. Some context about Ethan. He and his wife couldn't have kids, so they adopted a boy, Joey, 2 years ago. Mike has been making silly, lighthearted jokes that involve Joey's bio parents as a way to mess with Ethan and his wife. Does anyone ever have to say that fertility is one thing that you don't joke about? Come on. I already talked to Mike and I tell you that he's 100% means no harm and he was just trying to get them to react. So fast forward to New Year's Eve, my parents hosted a big celebratory dinner and Ethan and his wife came. While we were eating dinner, Mike decided to tell a knock-knock joke to Ethan. He said, "Knock knock." Ethan laughed and said, "Who's there?" Mike replied, "Joey's bio parents." I'm not laughing because it was funny, I'm laughing because it was stupid. Oh my god, why would he say that? Like, that's not even funny, like, at all. Then he bursted out laughing. Silence took over and Ethan's facial expressions changed. His wife called Mike an idiot, to which Mike replied with, "Hey, relax, it was just a joke." An argument ensued and dinner was paused. My parents suddenly told Mike to leave, which I thought was too harsh. I tried to speak to them and get them to calm down, but mom insisted that Mike leave. We left and Mike was complaining the whole time about how they overreacted. I called my mom later and she told me Mike was out of line with his hurtful joke about this touchy topic and told me I was wrong for defending him and saying he was just joking. She said he ruined New Year's for the family, but I told her it was her and Dad who ruined New Year's celebration for escalating the situation and kicking him out. I told her he could talk to them again, but they were the ones who ruined New Year's celebration. She called me delusional for this statement and hung up. Homegirl, you are delusional. You are delusional if you think this is your parents' fault. We haven't talked to them for days. I tried contacting Ethan, but no response. How many times do they have to tell you that it makes your brother uncomfortable with those jokes for you to get it through your thick head? The first time he meant it. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's what you get when they tell you don't cross a boundary and you cross a boundary. That's what happens. Good for the parents for sticking up for their son.